pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I don't see any citizens here for the open forum. The approval of the minutes from November 1st, 2018.
Motion, we accept the minutes.
I second.
January.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of board members. Matt, I understand this is your first meeting, so welcome.
No, I've been here before.
Oh, have you?
He sure has.
I've been a long time on the board.
You don't remember?
That I do remember.
We know and love Matt.
And Kathy Schecker, thank you, welcome.
Thank
and
you.
I also am back. I'm code enforcement.
And you were where?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was somewhere. What we need to do at this point is, do we want to do the vice chair and save that till? Pardon?
Have to do the swearing in.
Okay, sorry. It's been a while. Kathy, you want to swear anyone that's going to speak today?
Right there. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you before God?
I do.
Thank you.
No. Witness.
All right. Mr. Trask, new business?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
We got two cases for you today. First of all, to remind you who I am the city attorney for the city of Oldsmar, for those new board members. And I'm going to help prosecute these two cases. Greg, you've been sworn under oath. The first case that we've got is City of Oldsmar versus Sailfish Real Estate LLC. It has an address in Brandon, Florida, but the case that's before us is in relation to what property in the city of Oldsmar?
4060 Tampa Road.
Okay, and what brought this particular property to your attention?
I received an email complaint about the sign,
Okay, and what was the complaint that you had received?
that it was a illuminated LED sign that's not permitted in our new sign codes.
Okay. Did you go out to the property to determine whether there was actually an issue with that sign?
Yes, I did.
When did you go out to the property?
It was on January 14th,
Of what year?
2020.
And what did you find when you went to the property?
That the old sign that was a manual chain sign had been changed to an LED display sign.
Okay. Did you determine at that point who the owner of the property was?
Yes, I did.
And who is the owner of the property?
It is Sailfish Real Estate LLC.
And how did you determine that?
From the property appraiser's website and Pinellas County tax collector.
Okay. Did you bring those printouts from those two agencies today?
Yes.
Okay. And with regard to the property itself, did you go back to the office and determine whether or not a building permit had been issued for that change out?
I did, and there had not been any permits.
Okay. And what is the necessity of having a building permit for the change out of that sign?
Because this wasn't just a facial change out of the sign, they did the electrical work to change it to an LED sign.
Okay. Did you, do you happen to have a photograph of the way that the sign used to look before it was changed out?
Yes, I do. It's from Google Maps, and this is dated October 2019.
Okay. So if you could, first of all, tell me whether or not, were you the person that pulled this off of Google Maps?
Yes.
Okay. And is this an accurate depiction of the area where the sign is located?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and on this particular photograph that you've got, you're referring to what on the photograph?
The top section where the price is, there's an upper blue portion where the price is, looks like $228, and then a yellow portion below it, which on the picture is $299.
Okay, I would tender into evidence as cities exhibits 1, 2, and 3, the property appraisers printouts, tax collector printout, and the first photograph for your review. I'm going to start down here with the board member that's down here, and then we'll pass them up as we go.
Thank you.
So once you determined that there was no building permit issue, did you issue a letter to the property owner with regard to the need for that building permit?
Yes, I issued a notice of violation.
And when did you do that?
That was sent out on February 14th, or on February 4th.
When you sent the notice to the property owner, did you address it to the address that you found it at the property appraiser's records?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you set forth in that letter the particular code section that is being violated?
I did.
Okay. And what was the citation to that code section?
It was 3.3.2 billion permits, and it goes on to explain that you need a permit to do work in the city of Oldsmar.
Okay. When you prepared this letter, did you mail it out by regular mail and certified mail?
Both.
Okay. And when you sent it out by certified mail, did you ask for a green card back?
Yes, and I received one.
Okay. So when you sent it by green card, did it come back as signed?
Yes.
So it had been received then?
Yes, it has.
Okay. In that letter that you sent, what was the date of the letter?
February 4th, 2020.
And when you sent that letter, did it specifically provide for a time frame to bring the property into compliance?
It did. It was 7 days.
Okay. Did the property come into compliance within that 7 days?
No.
Okay. I would tender into evidence the letter and the green card associated with that as well. After you determined that the property was not in compliance, did you issue a notice of hearing for a code enforcement board hearing?
Yes, I did.
And when did you do that?
That was sent out on March 12th, 2020.
And for what hearing date was that set for?
April 2nd, 2020.
Did that hearing take place?
No.
Why not?
The COVID-19 crisis.
Okay, so the meeting was canceled?
Yes.
Okay. Did you issue a subsequent notice of hearing for today's hearing?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what date was that sent?
On July 15th, 2020.
And when you sent that letter, did you specifically notice that there was going to be a hearing today, August the 6th at 4 p.m.?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was that sent by regular mail and certified mail?
Both.
And did you ask for a green card to be sent back to you, and what did you receive one?
I did ask for one, and I did receive one.
Okay, was it signed for by someone at that address, obviously?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I would tender into evidence the notice of hearing for the April and also the notice of hearing and green card for today's hearing. Have you been out to the property recently to determine whether or not the property is in compliance?
Yes, I was out there this morning.
Okay, when you went out there this morning, did you take a photograph?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And does that photograph depict the sign that was revised without the building permit?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you hold it up and explain to the code enforcement board what was changed out without a building permit?
Well, everyone's the blue section. You can see the red and the green pricing on there. It's your typical gas station price sign. So the LED area is what was changed in the backing behind the LED.
Okay, I tender in this to evidence as well. So as of today, the property is not in compliance.
Correct.
How much time do you think that the city should give the property owner to bring the property into compliance? What would be a reasonable period of time in your mind?
30 days.
Okay, and if the property owner does not bring it into compliance within 30 days, what type of fine are you suggesting that the code enforcement board consider?
I'd recommend about $100 per day.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions for Greg. Are there any questions by the code enforcement board?
I have a question. It looks like on the last green card, it's signed for as COVID-19. Does that mean, is it possible that like it was left behind and someone didn't actually sign for it?
It looked like there was a signature below it in the box below that, or initials.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that.
It's there.
See it? Okay. No more questions.
Actually, it's Route 34, R34.
I just have a few more questions as a follow-up to that, since that seems to be a question of concern. Have you had any contact by the property owner at all for any of the 3 letters that you sent?
I have not.
Okay.
So my question is, the violation is changing it from a regular light to an LED. Is that
Correct, without a permit.
Without a permit. I changed mine in my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have another question. Are there any other contacts to be able to get in touch with this person? Because I just am curious if perhaps you're not contacting.
From my
all the
experience,
time.
when these businesses are listed as LLCs, I mean, I do my due diligence, and I could not find any contact information. They kind of set them up that way on purpose.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
If in fact that they ask for a permit, would they be allowed to change it to an LED?
No, they wouldn't be.
Okay, well, there's the answer right
Right.
there. Okay. Good answer.
Okay, I have nothing further at this
One more,
point.
and
Oh.
is that your reason because for the $100 per day? Because traditionally that's done on the life safety issues when you do, you're saying you're,
It's because it's a major company, and I don't think a smaller fine is going to be enough because they could just make the decision, well, we'll just pay the fine instead of changing the price of the sign.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question. So is it, they're not in compliance because they didn't get a permit to replace it to LED, or is it because they didn't get a permit because it's electrical? They would need all,
They're in violation right now because they didn't get a permit to change the sign.
right, does it also include the fact that it's on a main road, has something to do with driving, the colours or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
All right, okay.
It doesn't matter. How big or small?
For what?
The size of the company.
Oh, no.
So at this point, the city would rest. We'd ask that you find the property into compliance with the code section that has been cited, which is 3.3.2 building permits. Order that the property owner bring the property into compliance by September the 6th. And should the property owner fail to bring it into compliance by September the 6th, assess a fine of $100 per day for every day that it remains in non-compliance after that.
Motion that case number 202000001 be, I agree with your, the code violation on that. And I tend to agree with you on the $100, being charged $100 per day, due to the nature of the, I mean, they're not even calling you back, anything like that. I don't mean to ramble, but I do find them in violation. I think the $100 per day fine would be good after 30 days, which would be September 6th.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. We're going to go on to the second case then. This is a very similar case. This is case City of Oldsmar versus Hess Realty, Hess Retail Stores LLC, care of Hess Realty LLC. So Greg, how was this property brought to your attention?
At the same time as the other one by an email complaint.
Okay, and the email complaint was the same thing, that there was a change of the sign?
Yes.
Okay, did you go out to the property?
Yes, it did.
Well, on what date did you go to the property?
On January 14th, 2020.
And when you went out to the property to determine whether there was a violation of any code provision out there?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you determine?
That they had changed their sign to an LED sign without a permit.
Did you happen to have an opportunity to obtain a photograph as to what the sign looked like before the change out?
Yes, it's also from Google Maps. It's dated December 2018.
Okay. You were the one that took this off of Google Maps?
Yes.
Okay, and the change out was what in relation to the photograph?
They exchanged the manual changeout numbers into LED display numbers.
Okay, I would tender that into evidence as exhibit number 1. So once you found out that there was a violation out there, did you determine who the property owner was?
Yes, it did.
Who is the property owner?
Hess Retail Stores LLC.
And how did you determine that?
Again, from the property appraiser's website and the Pinellas County Tax Collector's website.
Okay, did you have those printouts today?
Yes.
Okay, I would tender those into evidence as exhibits 2 and 3. When you determined that there was a violation, did you send a notice of violation to the property owner?
Yes, it did.
When did you send it?
I sent it on, February 4th, 2020.
Okay, and did it have in the letter the exact code section that was being cited as being a violation?
Yes, it did.
And what was that?
It was 3.3.2 building permits, and it goes on to explain that it's required permit for something like that.
Okay, did you give a specific amount of time to come into compliance?
I did, 7 days.
Okay. Was the letter sent by regular mail and certified mail?
Both.
And did you get a green card back for that letter?
I did.
And was it signed for?
Yes.
Okay, I would tender into evidence that notice of violation. with the attached green card. Did you get a response to that letter?
I did.
Okay, and what was the response that you received?
I received a phone call from the sign contractor that did the work on the sign, and then also from the company, that they were willing to put it back to the way it initially had to be,
Okay.
or initially was. I'm
Did
sorry.
they do that within the first 7 days?
No, they didn't.
Okay. Hasn't been changed out yet?
No,
Okay. Did you issue a notice of hearing for the code enforcement board to hear the case?
I did.
And when was that?
I issued it on March 12th, 2020,
For what was the day of the hearing?
April 2nd, 2020.
Is this similar to the last case that hearing did not take place because of the COVID virus?
Yes,
Okay. When you sent that letter, was it sent by regular mail and certified mail?
both.
And did you get a green card back for that as well?
I did.
Okay, I tendered that into evidence as well. And for today's hearing, did you also issue a notice of hearing?
Yes,
Okay. Was it similar to the last one that we just talked about?
yes.
What is the date of that notice of hearing?
I sent that on the 15th of July, 2020.
You sent that by regular mail and certified mail?
Yes,
Did you get a green card back for that?
yes,
Okay, and was that signed?
yes, it was.
All right, I tender that into evidence as well. Do you have a photograph of what the property looks like today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And did you take that photograph today?
I did this morning.
Okay, and if you could hold it up and show the board exactly what has been changed out?
The area right here with the red and green numbers, in the back and behind it, very similar to the other one.
Okay. We tender that into evidence as well. Did you happen to receive anything in writing from the property owner, the property owner's representative, in relation to how long they're asking for you to give them to bring the property into compliance?
Okay, put it back there.
I did. I've been in communication with the sign company that did the work and also Everbright, who's the representative of the company. Through the COVID thing, they've been delayed, so they haven't got it done yet. But my last communication with them is they're asking until the mid-August because the manufacturing of the sign they need is getting delayed for obvious reasons. And I have an email from them.
Okay. I would tender that into evidence as well, so you can see that they're being responsive. So as of today, the property is not in compliance.
Correct.
Okay. And the property owner is asking for mid-August to bring it into compliance.
Correct.
What period of time do you think is a reasonable period of time to allow them to come into compliance?
30 days.
Okay, just like the previous case?
Yes.
Okay. And if it doesn't come into compliance within that 30-day period of time, what do you think a reasonable daily fine would be?
$100 per day.
And can you explain to the board again why you believe that that is appropriate in this case?
Because it's a corporate entity and anything less than that might not be an effective means of persuasion to them.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions for Greg. Are there any questions by the Code Enforcement Board? Yes.
Yes, I do. What would make the difference between, I mean, I have a hard time keeping the big business and little business apart. I do believe that, you know, those are pretty hefty, that's a pretty hefty fine. And they have responded to you. In the previous one, that was a lot different than them not responding to you at all. So I think 30 days is fair. I'm gonna make a motion, if there's no other discussion, I'm gonna make a
I have a
motion.
question. Are we talking about 30 days from mid-August or 30 days from today?
Today.
30 days from today.
Which really just gives them 2 to 3 weeks if they're actually able. Are they saying they're able to bring it in line mid-August or get like the
Yes.
work started in
They're
mid-August?
saying they should have it completed by mid-August.
Okay, then I think
So we're
that's-
giving them a couple
then that's
extra
fair.
weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Anyone else?
And they can always come back to the drawing board.
True.
Yeah, and I got one more question. So similarly, they're not allowed to have even if they had asked for a permit, they would not have gotten it. So they need to turn the signs back to the way it was
Correct.
before. Clear, thank you.
Unless they get a permit for the electric.
No,
Or the LED,
no,
or,
the LED's not
never mind,
permitted.
never mind. I thought of it just as I said it. So in case number 201, wait a minute, no, wrong one, 202000002, I would agree with the city that they are in violation of those codes and give them the 30 days from today, which would be September 6, 2020, to come into compliance, and after 30 days, they would be charged $100 per day.
Motion on the floor?
A quick question to that, will they both be charged the $35 fee?
Oh,
Sorry, I left out the administrative fee.
It's already included.
It's, right, it's automatic.
Okay, good.
I have a
Thank you.
motion and a second.
I second.
Aaron did a. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, that was quick. The next thing we have on the agenda today is an affidavit of compliance in the case of City of Baltimore versus Christina Booth. This is a 2016 case. It's now in compliance. So we need to get the affidavit signed by Greg and notarized.
Okay. I thought I was doing that afterwards.
Okay. So well, let's just get the board to accept the fact that it was in compliance, and once the affidavit is completed, you could submit it to the city clerk's office for the purposes of, closing out the file. But why don't you just go through it? So when was the code violation? What year?
It was in 2016.
Okay, and when were they supposed to bring the property into compliance?
It was supposed to be before October 6th, 2016.
And in that particular case, what was the violation?
It was lacking a window permit.
Okay. And has the property been brought into compliance?
It has.
When was it brought into compliance?
On March 5th, 2020.
Okay. And did you take a photograph of the property to show that the property was in compliance?
Yes.
Okay. And can you hold up that photograph or photographs and explain exactly what needed to be done and what was done?
So they had some makeshift window coverings, and they had somewhat installed windows without any permits. So the bank bought the property from the previous owners, and they came through and actually replaced all the windows with the proper permits. And the pictures just display the new windows in the house.
Okay. When were these photographs taken?
March 12th, 2020.
Okay. And the reason that it didn't come before the code enforcement board until now, since March?
COVID-19.
Okay. But it is your testimony the property is in compliance, and you want the code enforcement board to find it in compliance?
Yes.
Okay. So
Wow.
But it was basically the bank has taken it over.
It's been
What's
resold.
been resold since then?
Okay.
It's being redone.
Wasn't there a lien on that property?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I was just gonna say, how much did the city end up setting aside?
It was $32,650 plus a $35 fee for that code violation.
But there was no lien filed against it.
There was a lien,
Oh, there was.
and it was released.
Okay.
The city received $3,500.
Okay.
3,500?
Okay.
It was like
Wow.
probably 400 down on the list. In
Okay.
the case of 201-600-014, I moved to find accept the affidavit of compliance once it's notarized.
Sorry about that.
I have my notary here.
I have a couple questions if I could. Tom, for you, this property I'm very aware of. Are we watching that property to make sure that they are in compliance with all city codes in that property? Because
I
it is-
am. I've done a lot of work on that property.
Well, there's been a porta potty in the front yard of that home with all these kids playing around in the neighborhood. And quite frankly, that property is an eyesore. I mean, it looks like, I'm very familiar with it. I drive down that way often in my golf cart, and I just happen to, it pulls your eye. I don't know about you when you drive down that road, but there are some pretty homes on that road. And that property is just, it's the city of Oldsmar does not deserve that property to be in that neighborhood with all those children and people trying to fix their homes up, which they have, and they put a lot of money in those homes. So what kind of recourse does the city have to get that property into code and get that porta potty out of the front yard? It's disgusting.
I went by there last week, and since it's changed hands, it's now in the ownership of an LLC where I've lacked to be able to make any contact with the person. So my only option would be at this point would be to do a code violation on it. The porta potty appeared there when they were doing some sort of removal work on the house.
Right, right. They need to remove the whole house. I mean, I'm not a code person, but we both live near that neighborhood, and that is the worst looking home in Oldsmar. Unless they've, demolished it by now, but please do. I just wanted to ask how we're following that, because I've had calls from people asking me about that home.
So
It's a shame.
The normal process would be if there is a code violation and someone's aware of it, you'd notify code enforcement department. But it's very not normal for a code enforcement officer to watch a particular home. Unless there's a code violation, we just move on. Okay, we got 13,000 other homes to look at too. So we won't necessarily focus on one unless there is a code violation, unless someone brings it to our attention. So if you're aware of a code violation that's in existence, other than the fact that it looks ugly.
No, sir. No, sir. It doesn't just look ugly.
Okay,
Let's put a porta potty in your neighborhood.
I had one in my front yard for 10 months. I didn't like it, so.
But it really doesn't have anything to do with this
No.
affidavit. It does have with the new homeowners. So I moved.
Yes,
Okay, I have a motion.
I did move.
she
I
did.
had a motion.
Made a motion.
May I have a second? Sorry. Second. All in favor? Aye.
No.
Motion carries.
Now, Greg, could you please do something about the yard?
Well, do they have a
Not
permit
the
on
yard,
the
the
property to
building.
fix it up? The new owners?
All in.
Nothing yet.
I'm sorry?
Don't you have to have a permit in order to have a porta potty on a property?
No, you don't need a permit to have a
No.
porta potty.
Okay.
Okay, but there is a requirement that it not be there for a certain period of time when there's not an open building permit. So,
So, yeah, that's a good question. Is there an open building permit on that property?
Not, I would have to check. I'm not
Would you please?
currently aware of it.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it if you checked. I mean, I feel a certain responsibility for the residents in that neighborhood, being on this board to begin with. So, I really would appreciate it.
so.
I don't know what the deal is, but I will notify him by phone of my concerns about that property.
Okay, thank you.
Were they not working on the roof of that house?
That's been done for a while.
So I'm sorry, when the motion was made and seconded and there was a vote, I thought I heard one nay.
Me.
Okay, so it was 6-1. So you got that, okay.
I got it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, so that's all the agenda items I have. There are 2 other agenda items on the,
Selection of a chair and a vice chair for this board.
right. And so you remember how, thanks. Nomination from the floor. If there are more than one nomination, then we could do a ballot vote. It would have to be a signed ballot vote, but we can do it that way if there's more than one nomination. But we should start with the chair, nominations for the chair, followed by nominations to the vice chair position.
As the nomination for the chair, I nominate Sandy Grimes as a welcome back to this committee.
I agree.
Welcome home, babes.
Guys,
Ew.
Any other nominations?
No.
Hearing none, nominations are closed. All in favor?
There's no other
Oh, look, they
nominations. There's no
followed.
need to vote. It's,
Yeah.
you are chosen. So next would be
Chair.
vice chair.
I nominate Rhonda Coy as vice chair of the Code Enforcement Board.
I
I'll
second.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Turnaround's fair play, my friend.
You know, it's a five-year commitment.
Yeah, right.
It's 5 years.
I can be dead by then.
So thank you very much. That's all we have on the agenda today, unless you have something else that you wanted to discuss or cover.
Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Boys and girls?
Did we get a second?
Yeah,
Oh.
seconded.
Okay, thank you.
You were not.
Appreciate it.
It was rattling.
Do we adjourn?
Yes.
Yeah.